So it begins. Look who just got the letter. The one with no return address, no postmark, no explanation. Just your name written in ink that seems to move when you're not looking directly at it. Just those 7 words that made your blood run backwards. We've been waiting for you to remember. You thought it was a prank at first, didn't you? Some elaborate joke from someone who knows too much about your late-night internet searches, your obsession with old libraries, your dreams about places you've never been. But then you noticed the seal. That symbol you've been doodling since childhood without knowing why. The one that appears in your notebooks, on foggy windows, in the sand when you're not paying attention. They call themselves the Silent Brothers, and according to them, you're not who you think you are. You're not just another face in the crowd, another number in the system, another forgotten soul grinding through existence. No, according to this letter that shouldn't exist, sent by people who shouldn't know you exist, you're something else entirely. You're their lost heir, the missing piece of a puzzle that's been incomplete for decades. But here's the thing that should terrify you. You've never heard of them. Not once. Not in any book, any website, any whispered conversation in the corners of the world where secrets go to hide. The Silent Brothers don't exist in any registry, any historical document, any conspiracy theory forum. They are not even a rumor. They're less than ghosts. They're an absence where something should be. And yet, the moment you read their name, something in your chest responded, didn't it? Like a key turning in a lock you didn't know was there. Like a frequency only you can hear, suddenly broadcasting at full volume. Your hands shook, not with fear, but with recognition. Your body knew something your mind had been trained to forget. They've been watching you, they say. Not in the way that makes you check your windows at night or sweep your devices for bugs. No, they've been watching you through patterns. Through the books you choose without thinking, through the paths you walk when you're lost in thought, through the words you speak when you think no one's listening. They've been reading you like a map to something buried. Every strange coincidence in your life, every moment of inexplicable knowing, every time you felt like you were playing a role in a story written in a language you can't read, that was them. Or rather, that was you responding to signals they've been sending since before you were born. You're not paranoid. You were right all along. Someone has been orchestrating the symphony of your existence. But they're not puppeteers, they claim. They're more like archaeologists, carefully brushing away the years of conditioning, the false memories, the implanted normalcy that's been keeping you dormant. They say you were hidden, not lost, protected, not abandoned. And now that you're old enough, strong enough, or perhaps just desperate enough, they're ready to tell you why. Your blood, they write, carries something that shouldn't exist anymore. Not royal blood in the traditional sense. That's child's play compared to what flows through your veins. You carry the genetic memory of something older, something that predates kingdoms and countries and the very concept of power as the world understands it. You're not descended from kings. You're descended from the people who made kings possible. The Silent Brothers claim to be the last guardians of this bloodline, the final protectors of a truth so dangerous that it had to be scattered, hidden, buried in the genetics of seemingly random people across the world. People like you, living normal lives, feeling abnormal feelings, knowing without knowing that something essential has been kept from them. They tell you there have been signs all your life if only you knew how to read them. The way animals react to you, either with unusual affection or inexplicable fear. The way electronic devices malfunction in your presence when you're emotional. The dreams you have that feel more like memories, full of faces you recognize but have never met. Places you know but have never been. Your parents, they suggest, might not be who you think they are. Or rather, they might not know who they really are either. The bloodline doesn't always run straight. Sometimes it skips generations, lies dormant, waits for the right combination of circumstances to activate. Sometimes it takes trauma to wake it up. Sometimes it takes loss. Sometimes it just takes someone finally telling you the truth. But who are these silent brothers really? According to the letter, they're not a secret society in the way you'd imagine. They don't have meetings in underground chambers or wear robes or perform rituals by candlelight. There's something far more subtle and infinitely more powerful. They're a network of individuals who've learned to exist between the lines of reality, in the spaces most people don't even know are there. They operate through synchronicity, through meaningful coincidences, through the manipulation of probability itself. When you meet exactly the right person at exactly the right moment, when a book falls off a shelf open to exactly the page you needed to read, when you take a wrong turn that leads you exactly where you needed to go, that might be them, or more accurately, that might be you, unconsciously responding to their influence. They claim to have been founded not centuries ago, but millennia ago, by people who understood something about consciousness that modern science is only beginning to glimpse. They discovered that certain bloodlines carry the ability to perceive and manipulate what they call the substrate, the underlying code of reality that exists beneath physical matter, beneath energy, beneath even thought itself. The Silent Brothers have been preserving this knowledge, protecting these bloodlines, waiting for something. And according to the letter, that something is approaching fast. They don't call it the end of the world, because it's not. They call it the revision. A moment when reality itself will become malleable, when the rules that govern existence will become negotiable, and when those who carry the old blood will either save or damn everyone else. But here's where it gets interesting. The letter doesn't ask you to believe them. In fact, it explicitly states that belief is irrelevant. What matters is whether you can do what they claim you can do. They've included a test, a simple set of instructions that should be impossible to follow successfully, unless, of course, you are who they say you are. Go to the place you've been avoiding, the instructions read, the one that calls to you in dreams but repels you in waking. Stand there at the threshold between day and night. Speak the words you've never learned but have always known. Watch what happens to the shadows. Watch what happens to your shadow. You know exactly where they mean, don't you? That place you drive past but never enter, that building, that forest, that intersection that makes your skin crawl and sing at the same time. You've been circling it your whole life, like a satellite orbiting a gravity well it can't escape. And the words, you can almost hear them, can't you? Just beneath the surface of your thoughts, in a language that predates language. The letter continues with a warning. Once you complete this test, there's no going back. Not because they won't let you, but because you won't be able to. Once you see what you really are, once you feel the true weight of your inheritance, the normal world will become unbearable. Not because it's beneath you, but because you'll finally understand what's been done to it, what's been done to everyone, and what you're supposed to do about it. According to the Silent Brothers, history as you know it is a carefully constructed lie, not in the way conspiracy theorists claim, with fake moon landings and hidden cabals. The lies go deeper than that. The The very structure of how you perceive time, causality, and identity has been manipulated to keep humanity docile and disconnected from its true potential. They claim there was a time when humans could do things that would seem like magic now, not through technology or tools, but through consciousness itself. People could communicate without words, heal without medicine, travel without moving. But something happened. They call it the severing, that cut humanity off from these abilities, all except for a few bloodlines that retained a dormant connection, a sleeping potential that could be awakened under the right circumstances. The Silent Brothers formed in the aftermath of the severing, not as rulers or controllers, but as preservers. They've been maintaining the knowledge, protecting the bloodlines, and preparing for the moment when the severing could be healed. But they've had to work in absolute secrecy because there are others who benefit from humanity's disconnection, others who've built their power on the foundation of humanity's limitation. These others, the letter doesn't name them directly but refers to them as the architects of absence, have been actively hunting the bloodlines, either to eliminate them or corrupt them. Every mysterious disappearance, every sudden madness, every family line that ends abruptly might be their work. And according to the Silent Brothers, you've survived multiple attempts on your life without even knowing it. What exactly is this inheritance they claim you carry? It's not money or property or even knowledge in the traditional sense. It's something they call the sight. The ability to perceive the true nature of reality, to see the connections between all things, to understand the language that existence speaks to itself. But more than that, it's the ability to speak back. People with the sight, they claim, can influence probability, can nudge reality in subtle ways, can make the unlikely become inevitable. It's not about breaking the laws of physics. It's about understanding that the laws of physics are more like suggestions and that consciousness has a vote in how they're applied. Every moment of uncanny luck in your life, every impossible coincidence, every time you've thought something into existence, that was your inheritance trying to express itself. But there's a cost. The sight comes with the burden of seeing too much. You'll see the pain behind every smile, the fear behind every boast, the lie behind every truth. You'll see the threads that connect all living things, which means you'll feel every cut, every wound, every severing as if it were happening to you. You'll understand why the Silent Brothers chose silence, because once you can hear everything, saying anything becomes almost impossible. The letter describes others like you, other lost heirs who've been found and awakened. Some became healers, able to repair not just bodies but the very fabric of broken lives. Some became visionaries, able to see the patterns that shape the future and guide others away from catastrophe. Some became warriors, fighting battles in dimensions most people don't know exist. And some, the letter admits, couldn't handle the weight of it and chose to return to sleeping, though they were never quite the same. But why now? Why are the Silent Brothers breaking their silence, reaching out to lost heirs like you after all this time? The letter speaks of an acceleration, a quickening, a convergence of patterns that suggests something massive is about to shift. They don't call it apocalypse because that word has been corrupted to mean ending. They call it the opening, a moment when the barriers between what is and what could be become permeable. During the opening, they claim, the abilities of those with the sight will be amplified beyond measure. The subtle influence you've always had on reality will become a roar. The quiet knowing will become undeniable certainty. The connection you felt to something greater will become a direct line to the source code of existence itself. But so too will the abilities of those who oppose the awakening, those who profit from humanity's sleep. The Silent Brothers need you, and others like you, to be ready, not to fight in any traditional sense, but to hold space for a new possibility, to be lighthouse keepers in a storm that will test the very foundations of what people believe is real, to be anchors for those who will be swept away by the revelation that everything they thought they knew was just one channel on an infinite dial of possible reality. They're not asking you to save the world. They're asking you to help the world save itself by remembering what it really is. But first, you have to remember what you really are. And that process, they warn, might destroy everything you think you know about yourself. The letter presents you with 3 choices, though it admits that for someone like you, there's really only one. The first choice is to ignore everything, burn the letter, pretend it never arrived. They won't contact you again, won't force anything upon you. You can live out your life in the comfortable prison of normal reality, though they warn that the knowing has already begun and can't be completely undone. The second choice is to investigate but not commit, to research, to question, to dip your toe into the waters of possibility without diving in. They'll provide you with more information, connect you with others who are questioning, let you observe without participating, but they warn that half awakening is its own kind of torture. To see the door but not walk through it, to know the truth but not embody it. The third choice is full acceptance, to take the test, to meet with the Silent Brothers, to begin the process of remembering and reclaiming your inheritance. This means leaving behind not necessarily your life, but your attachment to the illusion of it. It means accepting that you've been playing a character in someone else's story and deciding to write your own. It means becoming what you've always been, but were convinced you couldn't be. But here's the twist they save for the end. The choice has already been made, not by them, not even by you, but by the part of you that exists outside time, that knew this moment would come and has been preparing for it your whole life. Every decision you've made, every path you've taken has been leading you here. The only question is whether you'll consciously align with what your deeper self has already chosen. The letter includes something else, something that makes your hands shake as you read it. A series of seemingly random words and phrases that trigger something deep in your memory. Not memories of learning them, but memories of knowing them, as if they've always been there, waiting to be activated. They call these recognition codes, and they say every lost heir has their own unique set. When you read them, images flash through your mind, a room you've never been in but know every detail of, a symbol that makes your heart race with recognition, a sensation of flying without wings, of breathing without air, of existing in multiple places at once. These aren't fantasies, the letter insists. They're memories of what you could do before the severing, before you were convinced you were small and powerless and alone. The codes are also a test of authenticity. Only true heirs will have a visceral, undeniable reaction to their specific codes. Others might find them interesting or mysterious, but they won't feel the clicking of tumblers in a lock, the sudden expansion of possibility, the overwhelming sense of coming home to a self you didn't know you'd lost. If you're reading this and feeling nothing, then this story isn't for you. But if you're reading this and feeling everything, then you know what comes next. The Silent Brothers mention that speaking these codes aloud in certain locations will open doors. Not physical doors, though sometimes those too, but doors of perception, doors of possibility, doors between what is and what could be. They're keys to hidden libraries, to secret meetings, to knowledge that's been kept out of public reach for millennia. But more than that, they're keys to the locked rooms in your own consciousness. You're not alone, the letter emphasizes. All over the world, others like you are receiving similar messages. Not identical, each heir's letter is unique to their pattern, their codes, their specific inheritance, but all pointing toward the same revelation. The Silent Brothers have been mapping the bloodlines for generations, waiting for the right moment to activate the network, and that moment is now. They describe a web of connections that will become visible once you begin the awakening process. You'll start recognizing others like you, not by any physical characteristic, but by a quality of presence, a particular way they disturb the air around them. You'll find yourself in the right place at the right time to meet them, as if reality itself is conspiring to bring the heirs together. Some of these connections will feel ancient, like reuniting with family you've known for lifetimes. Others will feel electric, dangerous, like mixing chemicals that could either create medicine or explosives. The Silent Brothers warn that not all heirs will choose the same path. Some will embrace their inheritance, some will fight it, and some will try to use it for purposes that weren't intended. There's mention of gathering points, locations around the world where the fabric of reality is thinner, where heirs can meet and train and remember together. These aren't marked on any map, but you'll know them when you're near them. Your body will respond, your inheritance will sing, and you'll be drawn like iron filings to a magnet. The letter includes hints about one near you, described in terms of feeling rather than geography. Feeling. But who are these architects of absence the Silent Brothers mention? The letter finally provides more detail, though shrouded in metaphor and careful language. They're described not as a competing organization, but as a force, a tendency toward limitation and control that has infected human consciousness like a virus. They work through systems rather than individuals, through beliefs rather than commands. Every voice that's ever told you to be smaller, quieter, less than you are, that's their influence. Every system designed to make you dependent rather than powerful, that's their architecture. Every time you've been convinced that magic isn't real, that consciousness is just a byproduct of brain chemistry, that you're alone in a cold, mechanical universe, that's their programming taking hold. They don't need secret meetings or hidden symbols because they operate in plain sight through the very structures of modern life. The education that teaches memorization over intuition, the medicine that treats symptoms over causes, the economy that values accumulation over connection, all of these are their tools, whether the people running them know it or not. The architects fear the awakening of the heirs because it threatens their entire framework. If people remember what they really are, if they reconnect with their true inheritance, then the systems of control collapse, not through revolution, but through irrelevance. Why would anyone choose limitation once they remember limitlessness? Why would anyone accept powerlessness once they feel their true power?